Hello everyone, welcome to today's English class. Today we'll be starting a new unit and the name of the unit is How Mysterious. So this unit has several mystery stories, and the first one of them is Uncovering the Ghost of Nancy Drew. So I don't know how many of you might have heard this name before, or how many of you are hearing this name for the first time. But for those who do not know, for those who have never heard, Nancy Drew is a famous detective series that came out in the first part of the 20th century, and it is very popular too. So Nancy Drew is a female, she's a girl detective, and she solves lots of mysteries and she goes on really cool adventures. Now this was it is a mystery fiction series which was created by Edward Stratemeyer in 1930 as the female counterpart to his Hardy Boy series, right? So Edward Stratemeyer had a detective series called as Hardy Boy series, and the female counterpart to it he created the Nancy Drew stories. Now the most fascinating and the most interesting part of Nancy Drew stories was that nobody knew who was the actual author of Nancy Drew, and that was a huge mystery back then. Now this remained a mystery for many years until a particular event happened and a particular event occurred, which we are going to learn in this chapter. Now the story starts like this. It is the year 1963 and there is a young library worker and his name is Geoffrey Lapin, right? Now young Mr. Lapin, he discovered something mysterious about a favorite book detective. So what he detected was that he had known from the library records that nobody knew that who had written the stories of Nancy Drew. I mean, in all the books of Nancy Drew, the name on the books read Carolyn Keene, but everybody kept saying that there was no such actually person called Carolyn Keene, and everybody knew this fact that Carolyn Keene, his real name was unknown. Now Geoffrey, he found a clue which was a message inside a library book. He found out that next to the name Carolyn Keene, somebody had written in a pencil another name. The name was Mildred Wirt. Now there was another clue next to that the clue was, please look at or see American Women 1939-1940. 1939-1940 probably refers to the year the book is published, and American Women probably refers to the name of the book. So this was very exciting. This was very fascinating and very intriguing to Geoffrey, that why is another woman's name penciled next to this Carolyn Keene person in the book, and why is this see American Women 1939-40 has been written there. So many questions came on his mind. He kept asking to himself that who was this Mildred Wirt, and he felt as if Geoffrey's old friend, chum here refers to friend, he felt his old friend Nancy Drew was saying something, whispering something in his ear. So he felt that he had to solve this mystery. So now he located the book quickly, the book American Women that the clue had asked him to do, and what he found there, it made him catch his breath. Means it surprised him so much. He found out that there was a woman named Mildred Wirt Benson, which was a married name, and she had written 130 children books, and she had always used pseudonyms. Acha. So pseudonyms are false names for those who don't know. Usually author use them to hide their actual identities. Now Carolyn, though one question bugged young Mr. what is his name? Geoffrey, that was this name was Caroline Keene, one of the pseudonyms that Miss Mildred Ward Bunsen had taken. So this question bothered him a lot. Now he thought, why did she do that, and is there any way that I can prove that actually Mildred Ward Benson is the actually author of the Nancy Drew series? So he decided to think just like Nancy Drew would. So Nancy Drew is a detective, right? So if there was a scene of crime, the first thing that she would look to find the killer was to look for fingerprints. So exactly. So Geoffrey also thought of finding the author's fingerprint. Now an author's fingerprint is his writing style. See, every writer in the world has a unique writing style which cannot be copied by anybody, which cannot be duplicated by anybody exactly. So he thought that if he finds Mildred's other books, then he can compare them with the Nancy Drew books, and that way he can prove that Mildred actually was the author of the Nancy Drew books. Now so his mission began. So he started searching through antique stores and musty bookshelves. Now antique stores means the places where old relics and objects we find are sold, and musty bookshelves means old bookshelves where old books are kept. And he truly did find a gold mine. When he read all of the books that were written by Mildred, he found out that every image created in the book by the writing was exactly the same as it was in the Nancy Drew books. All the secret passageway, the country roads and the roadsters wound their way through the books he found, just as they did in the popular series. Means just like in the Nancy Drew series, when you read the books, whatever images came up in one's mind, exactly like that only these books and these stories were written also. He felt like as if Nancy was having adventures under the name of other characters. Means in the other books the characters were exactly Nancy, but they had different names. So Mildred, he kept wondering, why did Mildred write all these adventures using different author names? So he thought that the answer to this question he can only find from Mildred. So what he did is he arranged an interview with Mildred. So Geoffrey got a interview with Mildred as he wanted, and the moment he met her, he felt as if he was talking to Nancy Drew herself. Now Mildred was a long-time reporter for the Toledo Blade, which probably is a newspaper, and she had detecting in her blood just like Nancy Drew. So detecting, as in she had all that acumen, had the skills of finding out the mysteries, or to find out something that is not easily visible to the normal human being, right? And just like Nancy, Mildred also broke molds of what people thought women should do. Means she broke the stereotype of what people thought that women should do, and she was the first woman to graduate from the University of Iowa. Iowa is a state, and in the United States of America, School of Journalism, and she also received the first master's degree that was given by that university. And she had a very adventurous life, like she was a pilot, a champion diver, and a swimmer too, right? Now when after she shared all these details about her life, Mildred told or confided to Geoffrey that she was the original Caroline Keene. So she recounted the story to him. She told him that when Mildred was a college student, she heard that there was a writing job with Edward Stratemeyer Publishing Syndicate, and she had heard that Stratemeyer was forming a factory to write children's book, and his idea was to get writers to ghostwrite books under made-up names. By the way, ghostwriting means to write a book or something for a person without publishing your own name in it, right? So he thought that he will have ideas for books, and he will get people to write it, and he would make them ghost write it, so that if one of the writer also quits, then the book series will not stop. Okay, so that was actually quite a good business move. Now Stratemeyer offered Mildred the job of ghostwriting a new series about a girl named Nancy Drew. Now she accepted this, and Mildred, she wanted to give the readers a heroine, means a book character which was different from any other of the stories at that time. So she thought that the character that she would write, that character would love to explore and find adventures in everyday life. See, back then, in the stories that were written with a girl character in mind, it was not a very what should I say, a liberal or a liberal character, because it was a very men dominated and very conservative society back then. So when she decided to write this kind of character, your Edward Stratemeyer was actually he was a bit apprehensive about it. He was a bit fearful about it. So she wanted to write a character where the lead character, which is a girl, should have a different kind of freedom about her. Okay, and she put her adventures as Nancy's adventures to dream in her book. Now in the beginning, Stratemeyer actually did not like the Nancy Drew which was written by Mildred, and he thought that she was too nervy as in she was too brave and confident, and in a way that will probably offend some readers, because like I told you, back then the society was a bit conservative. But Mildred's books were a huge hit, means people loved her books a lot, and because of that, Mildred wrote 23 of the first 30 Nancy Drew mystery stories. And after she left the company, there were other authors like Stratemeyer's own daughter Harriet Adams, who took over the series. She became the author of these books. Now Mildred was sworn to secrecy, means she was not allowed to speak to anybody that she was the one indeed who had written the books. Now Mildred, she kept the secret of her writing the Nancy Drew books a secret from everybody. Even when her daughter, she came from school upset and crying that because nobody was believing that her mom had written the books, Mildred kept silent. She didn't want the world to know that she was the one actually the author of these books. Now a strange event happened in 1980. George Lapin, the library worker, he found out that there was a court case involving the publishers of the Nancy Drew mysteries. He heard that there was a court case going on with the publishers of the Nancy Drew mysteries involved, and Harriet Adams, if you remember, the daughter of Edward Stratemeyer, she was claiming that she was the one and only Caroline Keene. Okay, now Geoffrey, he went and told to Mildred and informed her that Harriet Adams is saying that, and Mildred, she requested Mildred to appear in court. And when Mildred went to the court and she appeared in court to identify her releases, this proved her authorship. So the ghost of Nancy Drew was uncovered. Now the whole world knew that indeed it was Mildred who was the original author of Nancy Drew series. Now Mildred, by mention, she lived to be till she was 96 years old. Other than the Nancy Drew books, she also wrote many other children's books during her lifetime, including her own newspaper column. And to many of the Nancy Drew fans who still read her books a lot, they all think for them Mildred Wood Benson is the real Caroline Keene. So this is the story by which the original author of the Nancy Drew books was uncovered, and I hope you understood the story and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you. Bye bye.